How are you guys doing this morning? Good, good. We're glad to see you out this morning. My name is Shandira Dawson. We're about to start our program, so I just wanted to let you guys know that too. And my name is Shandira Dawson. On behalf of the Domestic Violence Awareness Committee and our wonderful sponsors, we'd like to welcome you to our fifth annual Domestic Violence Awareness Walk. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Yes. Yes, we're glad to have you out again here with us today. Just a little bit of housekeeping information for you. We have porta potties around for the restrooms, as well as if you need to go into the police department as well, that you have that accessibility as well. Additionally, refreshments are being served currently, and they will be served after the walk. Once again, I'd like to welcome you to our fifth annual walk. Yes, 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 yes. All right now, so without further ado, what I'd like to do is introduce Southfield Police Chief, Alvin Barron.
You know, I'm smiling this morning, looking at all these folks out here showing domestic violence awareness. Give yourselves a round of applause. You know, as Ms. Dawson mentioned, this is our fifth annual walk. We've been doing this since 2024, and despite COVID and all the other challenges, we kept this message going. So I'm so grateful that this walk continues to evolve and grow. This year, we had a record of over 500 registered participants, so give yourselves another round of applause. So I'm going to kick it off with a poem. I'm picking it off with a poem, and it's for our survivors. We have a few survivors here with us. We're going to hear their stories shortly. The poem is called Rise, and I need the whole audience participation. I need quiet. These are respect for our survivors. I need it quiet in here. Rise. You will rise again. You have been beaten down. You have been abused. You have been torn down. You have been told you're nothing. You have been told you can't do it. You have been told that you are plagued by residuals. You are tormented by demons. You are tortured by nightmares. You are attacked with PTSD daily. You are reminded of all your scars. You are so tired of it all. Yet you survived it all. You continue to live each day. You continue to smile. You continue to thrive. You continue to overcome. You continue to be strong. You continue to rise. You continue to rise. You continue to rise. So before we get started with the program, I do want to recognize some of our elected officials, certainly our sponsors who are here today. We're going to start off with our mayor, Dr. Kenson Cyber. We have Council President Ari Mandelbaum. We have Councilwoman Yolanda Hayes. We have Councilwoman Nancy Banks. We have Councilman Charles Hicks. We have Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. We got our County Commissioner Lenny Taylor. Representing our courts, we got Chief Judge Sheila Johnson, 46th District Court. We got Judge Deborah Nance. We got Judge Cynthia Irvine. We got my partner in crime, Chief Johnny Minifield, Southfield Fire Department. From Haven, we represented our Haven representative, who's always here, a former lieutenant for the Southfield Police Department, Miss Christine Canal. We have our signature sponsor, representing Huntington Bank, the CEO and president, Mr. Gary Torgo. And I soon want to recognize also Mrs. Margaret Hall, another partner of ours from the Southfield Domestic Violence Group. Where Miss Hall at? There she go. There she go. Miss Hall does amazing work each and every year helping us organize this event. We're going to continue on. We got our Chaldean American Chamber of Commerce. Give us some love, too. We got some sororities out here. We got our Southfield Deltas. Where you at? We got our AKAs. Where you at? We got Zeta Phi Beta. Where you at? We have from Farm, Miss Farm, Mr. Willie Bell. Let's not forget, for Southfield Public Schools, the Libby School Middleman. Our Roadmasters Vet Club. Our Jewish Coalition Against Domestic Abuse. And certainly, as always, and I mentioned this before, our courts, 46th District Court as well, for always holding responsible those who are perpetrating the crime of domestic violence. So I do want to move into our other sponsor, and certainly the person who helped put all this together as well, with those nice t-shirts that you're wearing from QMI, Tony and Mary. Where's Tony and Mary from QMI? Give them a round of applause for these beautiful t-shirt designs. QMI, Happy's Pizza, Nicola's, Savvy Sliders, Southwest Food Excellence. And also, as you look around, not only are we representing domestic violence, but also, as you see my uniform, you see the cars, this is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Oh, give them a round of applause. And we have two advocates from domestic violence and also advocates from breast cancer. Where's Avis and Zell Rando? They're out here somewhere. Give them a round of applause. All right, and then we have from the Southfield Substance Prevention and Education Coalition Program Director, Mr. Roger Gooseby. And this group, I'm having them stand up. I have an advisory board here in Southfield. The advisory board for Southfield, please stand up. Chiefs Advisory Board, please stand up. Give them a round of applause. All right, thank you all. We're going to begin our program. Again, as I mentioned before, we can't do this without our sponsors. And our first speaker will be President of Huntington Bank, Mr. Gary Torgo.
Thank you, Chief Barron, Mayor Stiver, Council President Mr. Mandelbaum, wonderful Judge Sheila Johnson, Christine from Haven, and all of the wonderful people that are here today. I am a member of the Jewish community, of the Jewish faith, and right now we're in the middle of our Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which we are told is the Day of Judgment. And we all want insurance to know how we can get another year in life. Everybody gets judged. How can we get another year in life? We are told that the best possible way to earn your way through another year is to be needed in the world, to do kindness and good things. When Chief Barron told me that the #1 crime in the city of Southfield is domestic violence, it hit my heart very hard. And all of you who are promoting kindness and love and good welfare for everybody, and all the people up here on the stage, it is evidence that when we work together to be needed in the world, to do the right things, to promulgate kindness and love, it is an opportunity to wipe out these terrible crimes. So on behalf of Huntington Bank, my entire team, all of the people that serve in our administration and in our organization, we are so proud to be here, to be part of this great and important march, and to be able to stand against this terrible, terrible surge of crime in our community And to stand against domestic violence couldn't be a more important thing to do today. So on behalf of Huntington Bank, it is my great privilege to be here. We're grateful to be able to be a small sponsor in a very big event. And we thank you, Chief Barron, for including us. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. All right, we're going to hear from our mayor, Dr. Ken Cyber.
Good morning. We're getting ready to walk, so good morning. Good morning. Louder yet, good morning. Good morning. All right. What a great turnout. And what a great event for the city of Southfield. All of us are standing here today because it's not okay to have domestic violence in our community. You can applaud that. As the chief said, it's our number one crime. Very sad, very, very sadly. So I want to tell you that we had a sort of an interesting pause here. Friday and Saturday, last Friday and yesterday, there were no police runs for domestic violence. And that's a great thing, but sadly, it's most of the time it's a very daily occurrence in our city. So once again, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for standing up and standing against domestic violence.
Thank you, Mayor. We're now going to hear from our Chief Judge of 46th District Court, Sheila Johnson.
Thank you, everyone, and good morning. So we hear a lot about domestic violence. We know that term, but what does it mean under the law itself? There's a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. And so it's defined as an individual that assaults and batters someone. And an assault, obviously, is an attempt to commit a battery or put someone in fear of a battery. And a battery is a forceful, violent touching of a person or something connected to that person. And the next thing as an element of this crime is that you have to be a spouse, former spouse, have a child in common, be a resident or former resident of a household, or have previously had a dating relationship. And that's it. That is the legal definition of a misdemeanor domestic violence. So the crime itself is pretty straightforward. But we all know that the abuse runs a little bit deeper in the form of intimidation, stalkings, verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse. So there's so many other misdemeanors and felonies that really have as its origin a domestic relationship. Things such as murder, manslaughter, assault with intent to murder, assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder, stalking, malicious use of a telecommunications device, child abuse, and many more. So we see all of these things in our court. So the statistics that I'm going to give to you today just really encompass the misdemeanor domestic violence, not those other felonies and not those other misdemeanors. So this is a really huge problem because many of those crimes, as I said, are domestic in origin. So in our court, we have some stats about the numbers of domestic violence cases that we've heard from January 1st to September 30th of this year. So far, it's been 190 cases. 130 of those have been males accused of the domestic assaults, and 60 have been females. We've had one found not guilty. We've had 2 found guilty as charged, and we've had no jury trials on domestic violence this year. We've had 29 cases just dismissed flat out, usually because the victim is too afraid to come to court or they change their mind for any number of reasons, even though they may have very well been a victim. We also have some pleas of no contest. We've had 4 where somebody just doesn't say they did anything, but they're still convicted. We've had the prosecutor just dismiss 2 cases because they decided they didn't need to prosecute them. 38 of them have been pled down to, or dismissed because of some plea bargain. So we have 73 cases currently pending, and we have 10 felony cases so far that are pending that might be domestic in nature. So this is a big problem in our court. So what are we doing about it? We understand this problem. We're taking steps to aid in the swift resolution of these cases. And we not only penalize abusers when appropriate, but we focus on employing programs to educate and rehabilitate. So we have risk assessments that we do with the police department where the responding officers will interview these alleged victims. They get the background information and they provide referral information to Haven. This is one factor that the court uses to determine what risks are there involved in setting an appropriate bond and should this person be released back into the community. We then have a fast-track docket for arraignments and pretrials before the judges. This ensures that the case is adjudicated so swiftly that these people can get whatever services that they may need if they're convicted. And it really reduces the amount of time that they're pending out in the community. We have a 52-week 4-level program for abusers. It's called HEAL program for men, and it's called WEAVE program for women. These folks have to do serious homework, and they have discussion sessions for 52 weeks. That's about a year. And so the older people in that program, the advanced students, hold the newer students accountable for behaviors and for completing their assignments. So right now, we have referred 45 men to the HEAL and 1 woman this year to the WEAVE program. Right now, we have still 62 people enrolled in the HEAL program, and that 1 woman graduated from the WEAVE program. So 11 people have completed it so far this year, and 62 are in the program from last year and into this year. So the judges review the process as we continue to monitor defendants after they're put in these programs. And so we have a way that we put them back on our docket for review. We discuss with them what they're learning, if they have any questions, do they need more resources, and that way we encourage them to learn and to hopefully change their behaviors. We still intend to implement a full domestic violence court process that expands the things that we're doing now. We support the Chief's vision in creating this type of programming on all areas of abuse, and we're committed to ensuring that these programs become an integral part of our probation referral system. So thank you all for participating in today's walk. Education for this community is key, and we hope in that way to prevent domestic violence and to help those victims get the resources and help they need to help themselves. Thank you again.
Thank you, Chief Judge. Thank you. So we're going to move on to our Haven representative, the CEO, Ms. Christine Canal.
Good morning, everybody. I just hear the echo, so I want to make sure I'm not making it noisy for anybody's ears. First, I'd like to thank the Southfield Police Department. Having the pleasure and honor of working with this agency for 20 plus years and standing here today in this facet is fantastic. The Southfield Police Department is an absolute advocate for Haven and our work. If it wasn't for the Southfield Police Department, we wouldn't have the tone of what does it look like in a true partnership against domestic violence. And Chief Barron, I absolutely commend you and your officers for that, because it is the footprint. The Southfield Police Department is an absolute footprint, along with 1 or 2 other agencies in the county, of how we want to respond to domestic violence crimes. The other thing is, 1, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, right? So here we are celebrating with everybody here in Southfield, but also I want to take a moment to let everybody just think for 1 minute. 5 decades Haven has been in service. For the last 50 years as we enter. This is our 51st year as we celebrate our 50th anniversary, and to be here with you, Chief, is fantastic. For 5 decades, Haven has stood as a beacon of hope, providing saving support to victims of crime. Once they come to Haven, we call them survivors. these life-saving support to survivors of intimate partner violence and sexual assault. One thing to think about as Judge, you were talking about your statistics, is those are people who have come into the courts and into the system are reported crimes. There's many of us out here who don't report for many reasons. Maybe we have to figure out a safety plan. We just don't know what to do. We're torn. We're not quite sure if it really resonates or gets to the level of what's considered domestic violence. And that's where Haven steps in. To think 1 in 3 Michiganders are experiencing domestic violence to some degree right now in this audience. Your coworkers, your staff. If you think you own a business, Gary, you own a business, you think you have an employee with a problem, or that is a problem, but really it's an employee with the problem. Okay, so families are impacted by all forms of abuse. At Haven, survivors leave their homes. If everybody could just shut their eyes for 1 second. Be safe though, don't do it if you're doing something, okay? Just shut your eyes for 1 moment and just hear me for a minute. It's just think right now you have to leave, okay? You could be leaving a vehicle, a store. You could be leaving your home. Your kids could be getting off the bus and you have to just go get them. And this is your moment. This is your 1 moment that you have to leave. Now open your eyes. Do you have everything you need to be successful? Do you have everything you need to safely escape? Do you have your children's birth certificates so you can register them for school? Do you have your driver's license so you can drive? Do you have everything you need? And the answer probably is no. Everybody's like, I'm just wearing a walking shirt and we just don't have what we need. This is where, as a community, Haven comes in. Haven provides survivors just in that exact moment of running from crisis and provides survivors with a path forward, offering emergency shelter, counseling, legal services, advocacy with the courts, with our police departments, and a 24-hour crisis hotline, and I mean many more, including preventative education, which should be more. I see it, Rashida, out there from in the elementary schools of teaching kids what is safe and what is domestic violence so they can alert us earlier and also advocate for themselves. Prevention education is key. But the work can't stop here, and we can't stand alone doing it. As you see on this stage, advocacy is key to continue in this work. We must create a culture for survivors and with survivors so where they're believed. When someone is brave enough to come forward, it is our goal and duty to believe. They deserve to be met with understanding, not skepticism. They deserve to be believed, not with skepticism or why didn't you leave, or all the other questions that come in. Our survivors deserve to be believed at the point of disclosure. When someone is brave enough to come forward, they deserve to be met with understanding. Imagine escaping all of this and then having someone not believe you. So Haven is here to ensure that every survivor gets to heal, where domestic violence is not tolerated, where survivors are supported, and where every individual has the opportunity to live free from fear. So I ask you, will you believe survivors? Yes. Will you stand in this fight with Haven and the Southfield Police? Yes. And will you help Haven celebrate 50 years by ensuring that we can continue this work for our survivors? Yes. Thank you.
Outstanding. So we're now going to move into the survivor portion of our program. And I know there's a lot of chatter going on, but I need it quiet in here because we got to respect these 2 speakers coming up next. I'm going to say it again. I need it quiet in here because they will be respected. I'll stop the program to ensure that they're respected. And so I'm going to call up our first survivor, Mrs. Casey Anderson.
Thank you for letting me speak to you today. My name is Casey Anderson, and I am the only child of Dr. Calandra Green. I come before you today to share my experience of how domestic violence has affected our family. My mom was murdered by her husband after 2 years of marriage. There were no visible signs to any of us. There were no outbursts, no bruises. There was not a pattern for us to follow. Dr. Calandra Green was my mother, was a successful, young, beautiful African-American woman who created an impactful legacy before her candle was extinguished. She was the first Black female health officer in Oakland County.
On one afternoon on May 11, 2023, as I was watching TV, a call forever changed my future. I was summoned to my mother's home. As I slowly approached my family, confused as to why they were all there, questioning why there were so many police cars, my grandmother came towards me and said, "Casey, your mother is not here. She is gone. I am your new mother now." I was about to faint. I didn't understand what was happening. This day will forever be etched in our hearts and minds. This was the day we all became victims of domestic violence. Domestic violence is aggressive behavior performed in the home involving violent abuse of a spouse or a partner. It can happen to anyone regardless of age, race, sexual orientation, religion, sex, or gender identity. Domestic violence affects people all of socioeconomic backgrounds and education levels. It can rear its ugly head in the form of intimidation, manipulation, humiliation, isolation, injury, or wounding someone. I myself have been a victim of domestic violence. When I was in middle school, I dated someone who was verbally abusive. He would call me out of my name and curse me out, but I still loved him. When his verbal attacks became physical blows, I still loved him. That was the moment I knew no matter how much love I had for him, that was not okay. Domestic violence stems from one's mental health, which refers to their psychological and emotional well-being. Thinking back to my mom's situation, there were signs of paranoia, suspicious looks, an increase in alcoholic consumption, and emotional dependence. It's essential to recognize when our loved ones are not doing well. If you or I sense that someone needs help, we should suggest a doctor, a therapist, a pastor, family, or friends. Don't wait until it's too late. Help someone make that difference today. I encourage all who need any help with mental or emotional health, trauma, grief, etc. Please explore and take advantage of the available free resources. Don't turn to suicide or risk someone else's life because it's not worth it. Life is not about killing, it's about living. In conclusion, know that you are not alone in this tragedy of being abused and not fairly treated. I am saddened to say that my story is not unique, it is all too common. This tragedy has forever changed my future. I have God, family, and friends. Their spiritual mindset and positive vibes keep me going every day. You are not alone. I have learned how to smile. Joy does not escape me any longer. I am not surviving, but I am thriving. Do not let your trauma define you. I want to end off with a scripture, John 16:22. Says, "Therefore you now have sorrow." Sorry? You now have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart will rejoice, and your joy no one will take from you. Thank you.
It takes bravery to share your story. This is why we ask that you give our speakers the undivided attention. It's difficult to stand. Yes, it's difficult to stand here and relive those moments. But we appreciate you having the courage to stand before you and share a story because it may make a difference. Somebody out in this audience may be suffering from some similar situations. So we're going to move to our next speaker, Miss D.I.J. Hill.
Well, good morning to everybody. I am just honored that you guys have this going on and that it's been 5 years. It takes a lot to come out and talk to a bunch of people about something very personal and near. So I'll start by kind of telling you who I am, just to kind of paint a picture that domestic violence doesn't have a color, doesn't have a class. So I'm Diaji Hill. I am a physician assistant. I have a practice in Belleville where I treat mental health, primary care, and substance abuse. I also have a nonprofit, I Am With You, that is domestic violence nonprofit that I started after dealing with my situation. I also have a nonprofit, P Heal, which is an organization that I started in honor of my late husband. So I am a widow of a fallen officer from the city of Detroit. In 2013, my husband was killed in the line of duty. And after dealing with him and his loss, it took me a while to even start to date and to even think about dating. And when I did start the dating scene, I ended up in a bad situation. A lot of times, a lot of people kind of came up to me after they knew what had happened and was almost like, I wouldn't expect you to deal with something like that. And the problem is, the devil doesn't come to you with a pitchfork, and he doesn't come with you with a red suit. And what I've learned to adapt and what I've gone through is that a lot of these things are spiritual, and that God is using them for bigger reasons. Losing my husband was definitely a spiritual journey that I took, but also being a victim of domestic violence. Why? Because I was dealing with oppression. God talks about that in the Bible. He talks about getting out of oppression. It's very important to realize that a lot of things that we're dealing with is the devil coming at us with his, not with his pitchfork, but it's very warm, it's very inviting. So whatever your demon is, so if I take it out of domestic violence and just kind of give you a picture for a victim, if say alcohol and drug is your demon, the people that are drinking don't come with a pitchfork, they come inviting their friends, they're bringing it to you for free. It's gonna be a good time. Those things happen like that in a domestic violence situation as well. The guy doesn't come to you looking like he's gonna abuse you. This gentleman that I met, he actually wanted to meet me because I had my nonprofit, I had P Heal, and he told me that he was interested in me helping him do a website. Sounded like an okay thing to me, and he was such a gentleman. He was very nice. He opened every door. I never touched the door. He talked very soft. He was always very warm. Even our first kiss, he asked me, could he kiss me? It wasn't like it was always just this aggressive thing. When red flags started to unravel themselves with me, I was kind of already wrapped into this web. I only dated the guy 3 months. From March 2018 to June 2018 was this life of hell. And I can tell you that dealing with that and the aftermath, even today, was worse than losing my husband. It had a lot of different things and different effects on me. I have 4 children. I have 4. Today they're 28, they're 23, 17, and 15. Then it was a different story. It's been since 2018 since I dealt with it. So I'll just take you to the night that I knew that I had to do something different. This was a night that the guy kidnapped me in his car, held me at gunpoint, and beat the crap out of me. I was very scared, and the only thing that I could think is, I can't ever tell anybody about this. I was super embarrassed about it. I prayed through the entire situation, because I told God, I said, look, you have to get me home safe to my kids, because at first I was at peace with death. When he first put me in his car, I knew that I was going to die. I was not going to make it. His words to me was, I don't want to see you with anybody else. This night's not going to end good. And I'm not going back to prison. So I knew what that meant. He drove me from Belleville to Detroit. And in the time of him driving me, I knew he was going to get a gun because he told me where he would keep a gun. And we drove to this place where he had this gun. He got in the car with this gun, and that's when all the abuse happened. It was over a course of a few hours. And I know that at some point I had kind of lost it. I just had come, like I come to peace with death. I was going to die. I'd meet my husband. I see my mom. It's okay. Then I thought about my kids. I said, oh my God, my kids, they can't not have a mom. They don't have a dad. What am I going to do? So eventually I went to my faith and I said, oh my gosh, what do I tell my patients? What do I tell my clients? And usually what I usually tell them is, you know what, when the devil's coming at you, you have to get your favorite scripture, your favorite prayer, and you have to go ham with it, because the devil can't fight God. He can fight you, right? So in my mind at that moment, Isaiah 54:17 was in the forefront. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Thank you. And that was actually the scripture that God gave me the night my husband was shot. My husband was shot April 2013. He didn't pass till October 19th, 2013. So yes, that end of watch is actually coming for me. But during that time, I said, oh my God, my favorite scripture. I said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, God. Get me home safe to my kids. I know if I make it out of this, it was only you that got me out, because he's about to kill me. I said, Psalm 91 over my life. God, I can't even remember the words, but I'm telling you that I trust you and I believe you. I take refuge in you right now. The course of the night went. He drove to one street, beat the crap out of me, drove to another street that was much darker, so I knew that my life was ending at that point. I looked at him in his eyes and I said, you know, I love you and I care about you. I won't tell anybody about this, but you got to get help. And whatever that energy force that was in the car, it left. And he looked at me and he said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What did I, oh man, I think I overreacted. Let me take this gun back. I said, okay. I touched my face. We drove to take the gun back and I survived it. The next day, or even that day, thank you. But that was definitely only by the grace of God, because that didn't end it. That wasn't even the day that I got away. That isn't even the incident that led me to leave, right? Because I wasn't telling anybody. Up until this point, this gentleman had never hit me. He'd never touched me. He was a little testy with some of his energy, his anger, his rage. But he had never put his hands on me up until then. But of course, they gaslight you. I'll never do that again. I'm so sorry. So I'm in my mind believing, but I'm also in the back of my head praying to God every day. You got to get me out of this safe, God, because he's gonna kill me or I'm gonna kill him, because it's not gonna be a good way. He's very aggressive, and I don't want my kids to get hurt. I don't want anybody to hurt him. I'm a widow of a fallen officer. I could have called officers and said, hey, I need y'all to help me figure this out. I did not want him hurt. I couldn't have lived with myself if he had gotten hurt because of me. So it wasn't until a week and a half later that he choked me all night that I decided it was really time for me to go. At this point, I had only told 2 people what happened to me. I confided in them. They were my Christian sisters. And I said, I don't know what to do. I just need you guys to help me. So that morning that he choked me, I reached out to one of them, and they had orchestrated. And they both told me later, they were like, you know what? Last night we were praying for you at a certain time. And that's the process of when he was choking me. Is at some point where he held me up by my neck on the wall, and I knew not to move because it would make him more aggressive. When we went to sleep that night, I snuck out in the morning and kind of got out, because usually in the morning he'd make me be intimate with him. So I snuck out. I got in my car. I was terrified. I just knew he was going to jump out of the apartment and come get me. But I got halfway home, and he called and he said, where are you? And I said, I left my gym shoes. I need to go to the gym or whatever. I told him. But at that point, I'm texting my getaway people, and they're letting me know, you got to leave. And I'm thinking, I can't leave. I got a business. My kids are ending school, and I really don't want to make a big fuss about this. I'm not trying to make a lot of noise. No, I can't do that. But every day I had been praying. I've been praying to God. I said, God, please get me out of this safely. Please let me not let my kids get hurt. And the biggest thing is that one of the girls, one of my spiritual sisters, ended up texting me back, and she sent me this scripture. And the scripture was Exodus 14:15. Then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. I had already been praying to him. He's telling me, I'm giving you a form of escape. He's telling me to trust him. I heard God talking to me. I think a lot of victims are doing the same thing. You're not leaving. You're not going. You're not trusting. It takes faith to do it. So I dropped everything, my practice and all, packed all my house up, had all the kids' bags packed. While my people were calling, make sure you get your important papers, get the birth certificates, get your stuff. So I had all this stuff with me, but he's still calling me every hour. So every Friday I have lunch with him. So I'm trying to make it like things are normal so he don't get ahead of me. So I kind of had to stay a couple steps ahead. So in the process of collecting everything, I'm thinking I'm just going to leave. Someone tells me, no, you have to go put in a police report. And I just was like, no, I don't even know how to put in a police report. And I'm not trying to make a lot of noise. And someone said, you have to. I said, okay, I do need to help someone else. So in the process, someone went to my house, got my bags, they hit my car, they got my kids out of school. I told my daughter not to go to work. My son was at Western. I told him I was coming to get him. They had orchestrated a plan for me to make it to Chicago to a close family friend. So in the process of doing all this, I get to the police station, I put in my police report, and I'm scared because he's calling at the same time. He's calling and texting, and I'm trying to just navigate being normal so that he doesn't catch on to what I was doing. So at the point where I finally was able to get in the car and get away, well, I got to go back to the police report. When I put in the police report, I was terrified. I wanted to hurry up. I needed an advocate there with me to tell me how to do it and what to say. Hey, make sure you say everything. Because at this point, I was only talking about that choking last night. I wasn't telling nobody he kidnapped me. I wasn't talking about that no more. I put that in the past. So I tell this officer, he takes the paper, and he looks at my report, and he holds it up, and he says, do you want me to call him and get his side of the story? I said, hell no. I said, this guy will kill me. I said, look, I know people come in here all the time, and their girlfriends are estranged. I said, look, I'm a professional here in Belleville. I have a business here. I said, look, I'm a widow of a fallen officer. His whole body language changed. Then he started to listen to me. That pissed me off. Why do I have to use that card? Why did I have to pull that? Why didn't you listen to me when I first told you that? It wasn't fair. So then in that process, I had to say, because I realized he wasn't taking me serious, I said, hey, he kidnapped me 2 weeks ago. I have pictures. I still got a bruise from it. Do I need to file a separate report? He says, no, I'll write notes on here. Wrong. He should have given me paper to write it down. He should have said, no, ma'am, go sit over here. You're safe. I just needed an advocate, which is why I love Haven House, and they have people that do that, because I didn't have that at all. You fast forward through a lot of different things. I got away. Thank God. My kids were safe, right? But the reality of a lot that went on with that. So that's 2018. So you talk about 2019 to 2020, I'm in court cases, and I filed charges against him, and all these things happen. First of all, when I get to Chicago, we're unloading the car, we're unloading my truck, and everybody's got bags, and they left my bag at home. I had nothing. And the first thing that went through my head was, what about women that have to leave in the middle of the night and they don't have anything? This really happens. This is when I started I Am With You. This is when that process started for me. I've got to be an advocate for somebody and be something if somebody needs help to get away. Even if I can just give you $100 to go get some underwear. I didn't have underwear, I have a toothbrush, I have nothing, you know? So that's where that process started for me. But as time went on and I dealt with the cases and all these things happened, I was victimized over and over again. At the end of the day, he got away with everything. He was acquitted of all charges. Acquitted of everything. And you would think she's a widow of a fallen officer. She's going to have a good team of people that's going to fight this thing for her. He's going to get convicted. They played that against me in the courtroom. I'm friends with the police officer. I lied on him, and all my police friends just wanted to get him, and that's what the jury played into. And I also later learned that the attorney and the judge were friends. They all played it against me, and I felt it in the courtroom. I felt the energy of the courtroom when things were, oh, you can't admit that evidence, and you can't admit this. It was stuff that would definitely have put them behind bars. And it's sad to say that you talk about all these years later, and that guy, right, is recently convicted of another crime. He killed somebody, right? And had you got it right with me, you'd have prevented that. It hurts my heart to just think of all the other people that we don't know that he hurt. It's a lot more, I'm sure, because he had that kind of aggressive behavior. Even when, at the end of the day, he was acquitted because he was on parole, because I found out that 10 years before my incident with him, he had a very similar case. The girl just never showed up in court. He kidnapped somebody. Right. But the biggest thing is, as you fast forward time and all these things have happened, the biggest thing I trust and believe in is my faith. God is faithful. And I can tell you something, and I'm going to share it because it's important for me to share it with you, because what happened is the night before his verdict came out, I didn't go to the courtroom. I knew he'd won. I knew. When I tell you I knew. I was like, oh, it don't look good. I felt it. through my process of starting I Am With You, and the reason I started I Am With You is because I was very scared when it was time to leave him. I only dated him 3 months, but I loved the crap out of this guy. He was so nice in the nice moments that I was all swarmed in, and people forget to talk about that part. The whole relationship was not him beating on me. Majority of the relationship was him saying nice things to me. So it wasn't all bad. So I had a hard time at first, and had they not taken me out of Michigan and totally disconnected me talking to him because he got arrested that night, he called the next morning and he left a message on my phone, and just hearing his voice, I knew that I would have gone back. So I was glad I didn't. But I read the Bible every day. And these scriptures during that time, God kept sending me scriptures related to him being with me. There's so many scriptures in the Bible where God is just telling you, I am with you. So that's where I Am With You started. The night before the case, before he was acquitted, I couldn't sleep. And I got up at 3:21, and 3:21 is an angel number for me because that's Patrick's birthday, March 21st. So I felt like the God was talking to me. He just told me to read through my scriptures. So I started reading through them. And the one that sat with me the most was, the Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and the Lord will by no means clear the guilty. So when they told me that he was acquitted, I said, God's not done yet, because that's not the promise that he had to me, and God does not break promises to me or to anyone, but to me in that moment, right? So you talk about 5 years later, and I'm talking about just last week, and I saw that guilty by jury. It was the best thing that I could have ever felt. It was the best thing, and I had to go back to the scripture, because God promised he would not let the guilty go unpunished. But the problem with everything was that a lot of times we put things in our timing, and it's always God's timing. It was 5 years later. 5 years later. So I'm saying that to say, if you are in a process of getting away or praying for something, it may not be domestic violence related. Give God his timing. It's not your timing. Stay with it. It's going to happen, but in God's timing, not yours. The last thing that I'm going to leave, because I can tell you so much more about this story and all the things, the last thing I'm just going to leave is that a lot of times what's happening in my life now, because I am a professional woman, I don't look like somebody that would deal with domestic violence. I wouldn't take that. And in my mind before dealing with it, I was that strong woman. I would question a person who had been in a relationship with somebody, like, why don't you just leave? That's crazy. And why would you let somebody put their hands on you? Because I'm strong. I don't have that look anymore. I realize that there's a web that you're in. And every time you pull one piece off, you're stuck on another piece. And nobody around you understands. And the problem with people that want to help you, which I know a lot of you are here and you want to help people, you victimize the victim over and over again. I am still victimized till today. Why? Because people that know my story is, we better watch who you dating. Oh my God, are you dating again? Oh my God, who are you dating? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Because I want to always empower and tell the victim that you did nothing wrong by loving somebody. You did not do anything wrong. Casey's mom did not do anything wrong loving him. She did nothing wrong. She did nothing wrong. And I had to remind myself of that because I was beating myself up. How could I do my kids like that? And I remembered at the end of the day part of my process is when I first put that police report in, the initial police report that went in, the prosecutor called me the next day, and she was so mean to me. When I tell you, it was like, well, did he choke you or did he have his hands around your neck? And I was like, he choked me. I don't know the difference. I don't know the definition. Well, how long did he hold it for? And I said, I don't know. I didn't count. And she says, well, we're going to consider this a 90-day misdemeanor, and he'll, do 90 days in jail, and you better show up to court, something. I said, hold on, do you have anything about when he kidnapped me and all that? No, but that's just notes on here. That's not what this report is about. So I said, do I need to fill out another report? I don't know. I can't give you any instructions on that. And that was pretty much the end of the call. So when I got back to Michigan from Chicago, I went and put in that report. But they played that against me in the courtroom because I put that report in second, but that was not the first incident. It was a second, and I came back and lied on them. So it played against me. So when in the process of all the things, at the end of the day, when he was acquitted, I had to get a PPO. And in the process of getting this PPO, I had to get the police reports, and I had never really read them through. And the police report that I had read, that really hurt my feelings, and it set me off. And it set me off to just realizing that the victim is victimized so bad in this process that on the bottom of the police report with me returning back to Michigan, He says, she's smiling and laughing as she's telling her story. She looks happy. Why would you say that? Because I have a nervous grin. I could cry right now, but I'm smiling to prevent from that. That's just me. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. So I lost it. I cried, and I'm a Christian, and I love hard, but I F-bombed so bad in that moment. I said, everybody fuck me. That's how I felt. I said, police, my husband's a fallen officer. I love y'all. I don't not like police. You played me. I said, guy, I loved you. I did nothing but love you. I never was mean to you. I loved you. 2 black professional women in this courtroom. I'm black professional like you. I deal with the same stuff in society as you. You played me for him. Nobody had my back. And then I'm still dealing with family and friends on this. My kids are in counseling. I'm doing all these things, and I felt so defeated. So when he did his 2 years and he got out and was living life, I started a book. I was like, I don't even know what to write in a book now. What would I say? He's living happily ever after? That's crazy. He wasn't bothering me, so thank God for that. But not until last week when I saw that found guilty by jury did it all click. And all these talks just started coming about. I had to be at Haven House. I had to be here. I could have told my story millions of times. God said it's time now. It's my timing. It's my timing. It's time to be a voice. It's time for us to be loving to each other. It's time for us to embrace people. If someone's telling you that something's wrong, stop questioning the victim. Question the victim later. Act as if it did happen. Because if it didn't, you can deal with that later. But act like it happened at first. Help. Tell them where to go. Know your resources. Thank you for listening. Wait, I gotta stop. Hold on for a second. It's my birthday today. It's my birthday. And I have to be excited about that birthday. You know me tell why? Because I'm not supposed to be here. That devil hit a hit out on me. And I'm here. 47 years. Thank you, God, for that. Thank you, guys.
And y'all started it. Let's go ahead and finish it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. All right. Woo! Y'all ready to walk? Y'all ready to walk?
Domestic violence awareness walk. We got the Leaving Middle School band. We got Road Masters Band Club. We got the whole community support behind us. There's Rosemary right there. That's Rosemary right there. We got Farm. We got Farm Brothers leading with the band.
Yes, this is looking good. I think I knew that, but I forgot.
good.